Well, here at the Property Investor Show, the entire life cycle of a landlord is represented, and by that I mean the 20 to 25 year period that a landlord may have a relationship with an investment property. It starts with pre-acquisition, which is your due diligence and research stage. Then you have the actual acquisition period when you're buying the property, and then you move on to what is going to be undoubtedly the longest period, and that is ownership and management. And the final stage of the life cycle is disposal, when you exit your portfolio. And to talk to me about the landlord life cycle, I'm joined by Howard from Property Tribe's Financial Services. And Howard, if we start at the beginning with pre-acquisition, I always suggest that anybody new to property investment, the first thing they should do is speak to a broker to understand what financial products they actually have access to, because that will bring a lot of clarity to the direction and strategy that they can take.
If you're going to be buying property, you need to know that you're good for the money.
Yeah.
So it's all very well looking at properties and I want that one and I want to get into buy-to-let, but really it's not being a landlord, it's being a property investor and knowing how to manage the investment asset and fund it in the right way. So we want to help you on the journey before you actually go out and put in offers on properties, which we've seen many times where people have gone in and then said, can I get a mortgage? It should be the other way around.
I agree.
Let's get you good for the money. Our team of advisors will carry out what we call a fact find in the first place.
Yep.
Sit down and talk with you about what your aspirations are, what your current financial situation is, and then we look to put together a strategy for financial planning, which will implement the right mortgage product in the first place and take into consideration what your future flexibility requirements are as well. Because as time goes by, it's not just at the start, it's a long-term journey, isn't it?
Of course, and if you think about it, if somebody came to the arena with, say, an unencumbered property, they might be able to use that for bridging, and that's the kind of insights that you give when you do your chat with a potential client.
That's where we differ from the mortgage salesman out there. So we would look to consider all of the options, whether we can use unencumbered assets and use the equity that's in there rather than taking all of the money on maybe a higher rate somewhere else. And we look to balance the financing to ensure that what you get ultimately is best value, but using all the assets and equity that you've got that's eligible at your disposal.
Absolutely. So we've covered pre-acquisition and acquisition. If we move on to when somebody is in the ownership and management phase of the life cycle, they're still going to need access to finance if they want to grow their portfolio, and they may be looking at such issues as releasing equity and so on. And again, if they're in a relationship with the broker can move forwards because they understand their situation.
Well, there's two things there. One is that over the long term of the property ownership, so we like to think that the property values are going to increase as time goes by as well. That releases more equity into the arena as well that we can use to contribute towards the deposits or even the outright purchase of other properties. But it's also about the future flexibility. What if the mortgage rate that you're on back then is now coming to an end and you want to keep the mortgage in situ, but you don't want to redeem it, but you want to keep it best value. So the relationship that we have is that we offer a regular review, and we'll sit down with our clients, some who've got 2 properties, 20 properties, even 200 properties each, and we'll sit down with them regularly to make sure that the mortgage portfolio is being balanced as well as the asset as well.
And also asset protection, because if they're in the ownership phase, they should be looking at such options as life insurance.
Well, exactly. So being financial advisors, not just mortgage salesmen, or rather we're not mortgage salesmen, we are financial advisors. We will look at the mortgage as being a debt, and the debt is a debt and needs to be repaid in the event of either death during the term, a critical illness, an income protection issue. So we will always recommend the most suitable financial protection strategy as well. Whether our clients take it up or not, that's entirely their choice. But we wouldn't be doing our duty properly if we didn't at least present it as part of our recommendations.
And I guess just when we reach the exit stage, if people have done everything in the most efficient way and the best way for them, it will make their exit a lot easier, having set everything up right from the beginning.
What we find is that a lot of people take out a mortgage because they want to buy the property, not thinking about how they're going to pay off that mortgage at the end of the term. Now, in the buy-to-let arena, the there are some lenders that acknowledge that even when you hit retirement age, the state retirement age, you still want to be a property investor. So we've got mortgages that are available up to ages far beyond the state retirement age. One or two lenders don't have an upper age limit at all. So we want to look at the long-term strategy as well. If the mortgage has to be repaid, then during the term of the mortgage, we will look at overpayment strategies, flexible offsets. We will look at just the best way of redeeming that mortgage at the lowest cost and ensuring that at the end of the day you end up with the asset and the investment rather than a debt.
Absolutely. So there you go, that's the life cycle of the landlord. From start to finish, it's best to take a long-term view, and we're sort of saying 20 to 25 years, and work with an advisor to make sure that you are doing everything as efficiently as possible throughout the entire life cycle. So thanks very much, Howard.
Very welcome.